we watched Robert Altman's Player.
Yeah, The Player, directed by Robert Altman from 1992. Tim Robbins and a lot of other people.
A lot of other
A
people.
lot of cameos.
Yeah, but it wasn't cameos then. It was like just the cast, you know? It was really good. Really meta. We were talking about this, very tight knit. Very
Yeah,
well
it's a really good
executed.
script. I think the script is kind of genius, to be honest.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Like, it's one of the best movies that are about movies that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, and it seemed like really ahead of its time. Like, it came out 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a stretch. And even now, if that movie like that came out, it would be like, yeah, super like metaphysical. The writing, the wit, the direction, even like the multi-layered dialogues going on. Like one is in the background, one is in the foreground.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so sick. And then like them watching a movie during the movie type shit is so cool.
Yeah, just a huge critique and commentary on Hollywood culture in the 90s,
Yeah.
just of that era, and also of like Hollywood in general, like since its birth in like the 30s and stuff. It was suspenseful too. I really liked how it was this intriguing mystery, but at the end, it's like, oh, the mystery doesn't matter because we just want a happy ending. Like, the meta is like Tim Robinson.
Tim Robbins.
So Tim Robbins.
It's my 6'5" brother.
He plays this. What would you call him? Like, he works for Paramount, Universal.
I don't think it says, right. It doesn't. They don't say, but it's
Yeah.
it's either like MGM or
Yeah.
Universal or Columbia.
But he works for a movie studio, and what he does is he reads scripts. He chooses if he's going to present the script to his boss to get made or not. So he's like pretty much up at the top of the food chain in this studio, Hollywood studio. But the problem is, and he says this near the end of the movie, is that they only have so much budget for the year. They can only make at least 15 movies a year at max. And he sees about like 900 scripts. How do you decide of those scripts, which are the 15? And there are some scripts that have to hit the exact markers you need to be made. So he goes through a lot of scripts, and there's a lot of really good dialogue and writing in this movie about pitching scripts, writing, how like the dream of having your movie made. And you kind of get sucked into it whenever you're presented with this theoretical movie idea. You're like, ooh, yeah, that sounds good, actually, you know?
Yeah.
But it doesn't hit the parameters of what the studio needs to make a successful movie. So he's been doing this job for a while. He's turned down a lot of scripts because of this. And he says, sometimes I have to be an asshole. Sometimes I have to say no to people. And because of that, he's made a lot of enemies, and a lot of enemies with writers. And at the beginning of the movie, he receives a threatening postcard that's saying he's an asshole, they're going to kill him, they're going to find him, they're stalking him, and he starts getting very paranoid. But the dilemma then becomes his job is under threat. If people were to see him like kind of acting crazy or out of line, or that there's any threats on his life, if he becomes any kind of problem, his job's at stake. And he doesn't want that. So he hides this, and he tries to find out who's sending him all these letters. And that's kind of what launches this movie.
He thinks he found who the writer is that's threatening him, and he follows him to the theater in Pasadena, the Rialto Theater.
Which is like literally a mile away from us.
Yeah.
Drive by it all the time.
Yeah, it's really close. He goes to a screening of The Bicycle Thieves, or Bicycle Thief, depending on however you want to say it. I know there's like two different people say The Bicycle Thief or like Bicycle Thieves. I forgot what they say in the film, but anyway, he goes to a screening and he meets up with the screenwriter. Basically, he like beats up the screenwriter and accidentally kills him. And that's like the inciting incident of the whole film. And then it's like him trying to clear his name of this murder he committed. Mm-hmm. And then the things that ensue, and then the unraveling of that, and his kind of paranoia, and he kind of unravels throughout it, which I really like. I really love that sort of crime and punishment type shit where like people are guilty of something and no one knows that they did like what they did, but they know what they did.
Yeah.
So they're like acting hella weird.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you've ever been into like a situation like that where you've done something wrong and you knew you did something wrong and you kind of like are acting out of character. I feel like I've had situations like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think everyone carries some kind of guilt
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah, you can never just get away with murder unless you like truly are like a psychopath. But if you're a real human, you can always pre-plan it in your head or whatever you want to do. You can have all of the reasons in the world why this person should die or whatever. But then after, when you actually do it and you have to live with it afterwards, that's where the true test comes in. That's where your true human nature and all that rationale goes out the window and you just kind of deteriorate and you kind of see this character deteriorate.
Yeah, this very successful... Here's the thing. He carries himself so well, dude. There's a certain point where I'm going to be like, what's his weakness? What's his, like, you know, little chink in his armor and stuff? And it's the threat of his character. But he genuinely seems like he's, like, trying his best to be, like a genuine, like, good dude. He's kind of slimy at times, but, like, he's not American Psycho.
Not a good guy. He's not a good guy. He's a movie producer.
He is a movie producer.
He's kind of a hacky movie producer.
But that's like also like
it was like has a high power position, you know, like
it's very American Psycho.
Yeah, it's kind of American Psycho.
What do you think about the ending of this movie?
I don't know. There's kind of like things that are bigger than themselves. Like him as a movie producer is gonna have to make this movie about like a happy ending no matter what.
Yeah,
and it just ties in really well though. Like I think it's really cool. And you're kind of just like, oh yeah, these are definitely what the studios are like.
Yeah.
This is really true. Like, it's kind of a cynical take on the actual studios.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a cynical... It's just so meta. It's so, like, layered that you're kind of like, okay, so this is... I can't... It's hard to explain.
No. That's what I'm getting at. Is, like, there's so many layers to it where it's like, okay, he's guilty of this crime. He's guilty of murdering this guy. But in our movie, he gets away with it. And he gets his happy ending because he's like, the studios would never approve this. You need to hit every parameter with the movie. It needs to be a happy ending.
Yeah.
It needs to have a love interest. And it needs to have, you know, and like, he hits all those in this movie. That it's so, like, movie. It's so meta. And it's in and of itself. That you're kind of like, oh, fuck. Like, the commentary is not lost in there with the ending. Like, it's like...
No, it's not. It is a critique on, like, Hollywood cinema, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, it is a critique on, like, studio filmmaking and the fact that, you know, they have to have a happy ending and it kind of all ties together. But, like, is it a happy ending or is it a bad ending? Because he gets away... Spoiler, he, like, gets away with the murder.
Yeah.
So it's, like, it's a good ending for him, but, like, a bad ending...
It's a bad ending for us because we don't get that satisfaction of like...
Yeah, he doesn't get caught. And,
he doesn't get caught.
Yeah.
Even though you want him to get caught.
Yeah, like you either like want him, like he's just such an interesting character that you almost don't want him to get caught because you want the movie to keep going. I don't know. I'm just glad we watched this movie. Like I wanted to show it to you.
Yeah.
Like it's a movie you can watch like a lot of times. I think it gets better. Like every time you watch it.
It is really good. I'm curious about like what the pitching for this movie, how that went. You know?
Yeah, no, it's really ingenious the way that it was made. I don't know how so like smart and
it's like, very clever.
It's just a guy who really understands the industry really well.
Yeah, but also like really understands like just films in general. Like everyone's dropping all these like little film knowledge, you know?
Yeah, like that. The intro is so cool where they're.
It's so the first shot is like it's one take for maybe like 10 minutes or something. Yeah. It's so cool, so good.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And you see all their pitches and everything's just a sequel or something or like a rip off of something else, and they have to like come up with two different movies. And I think Robert Altman was talking about how whenever he would pitch a movie, he would always have to say that it was like something else. Yeah. In order to like get it heard or like made or whatever. Yeah.
I love how they're always like, whenever they're pitching, they're always like dropping names of stars because like you need a star in your movie. That's like another parameter. So they're like, yeah, like a young girl. Think, you know, what's her name?
Julia Roberts.
Yeah, think Julia Roberts. think Bruce Willis or something like that. Like they're just like dropping all these names, and then later on in the movie they show up, and like the cameos are like really good. Like the star-studded, like we have like fucking, oh my god, you have so many people in it. Angelica Houston. You have Jeff Goldblum. You have, what's his name? Fucking Sean Connery, dude.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds.
Or Burt Reynolds. You have
no, a lot of people, and then Ari Gold from Entourage is in it.
Yeah.
No, I really like this movie a lot. It's probably like my favorite Robert Altman movie that I've seen. Even though I've only seen like 2 Robert Altman movies. I saw The Long Goodbye, and then I've seen this one. But I've seen this one like a few times now. I think this is like the 3rd time I watched it. And it's like I enjoyed ever more, just because I see more into it. And it's just so clever and so good. And the fact that he was able to make this movie, I think it's really underrated. Like I think more people should watch it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, what other movies are like about movies that are as good? Like, you know,
as good as this.
Yeah.
I have to.
This kind of reminded me of Hail Caesar a little bit. Hail Caesar.
Hail Caesar, yeah, Hail Caesar. I get that. Hail Caesar, or like Mank, or like fucking Babylon, dude.
Yeah.
But this is like a very like modern take on movies that I hadn't really seen this side of it, where it's very like writer focused and writer centric, and
yeah, it's so writer. So yeah, it's very
like, dude, like you know, there's a writer strike going on right now and stuff, and they're like,
it's still going on. I thought I thought they struck a deal.
I don't think so. Maybe they did. I don't know, but there was one going on. It's like, oh, can AI write movie? AI can never write this movie, dude. This movie's like so just like,
no, AI cannot write this movie.
This is so like, sharp and like so pointed and so much in the context of everything that like, God, this movie's so good. Yeah, really well written.
Yeah, Tim Robbins.
Yeah,
he's the man.
He's great in it, dude.
Yeah, it's like a satire and a murder mystery in a movie about Hollywood. It's like a critique on Hollywood in itself.
Yeah,
that was made by a studio.
Yeah, and
they're shot. It's all on a studio set, and it's just so highly recommend.
I love how it starts, where it's like, quiet on set. All right, sound speed rolling. Action.
That image of the end of him driving up and is like rose colored, like sort of like the roses, everything is in that beautiful house and everything is so perfect, and like his beautiful wife comes out and she's pregnant. That is like such an American idealistic image. Yeah. Of like idealized America, what people try to sell you. Yeah. In that world. It's like, oh, this is like what happy is, this image of what everything was marketed. It's like how Hollywood tells people like what they should feel happy about, I guess. Yeah. Right? That's very well said. That's like in marketing in general and commercials, like the world that you see people in is what the marketers think that you want your life to be like. Yeah. It's not necessarily like what, you know, like you see the people in their nice houses or shit, or like their kids, or I don't know, like. Yeah, they're like, you want this.